Oh, hi guys. Hey, I was just looking at this puzzle piece. It's a little tiny piece that goes to a puzzle that I have, 550 piece puzzle. And as I was looking at it, like there's a little bit of yellow and a little bit of green and a little bit of brown. And if you didn't know what the puzzle was, you would, there's no way to be able to tell where this piece would go or what the picture was of. Like if I were just looking at it, I would think, well, the green is probably grass, and maybe the yellow is some sand and the brown is dirt. That's kind of what it looks like. But if you see the big picture, and I don't know if you can see this, the actual puzzle is a picture of Santa's sleigh. And this little piece with the green and a little bit of yellow and the brown is the trim right along the edge of the sleigh there. How would you know that? Have you ever noticed that sometimes if you look at something really close, it looks much different than it does if you look at it from far away? Like, have you ever looked at something under a magnifying glass or a microscope? It looks really different than it does if you're just looking at it kind of in real life. Well, do you know who has a microscope? Mr. Fricks. Let's go see if we can check out his microscope.
Well, here we are, another wonderful day in the Pacific Northwest with rain. That's why I'm standing under the porch right now and not out there. I don't really feel like getting wet. But it is awfully beautiful outside. And what I wanted to do was show you kids some of God's wonderful creation. But I want to show it to you from a perspective you don't always get to see. And that is from very, very, very up close. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go out in the yard. I'm going to pick some items that I think would be good to look at through the microscope. And then I'm going to hook the microscope up and we'll look at the things that I picked under very high magnification and just see how different things look when you look at them very close up compared to how they look when you take a step back and look at them from a distance. In fact, sometimes when you're looking at things very closely, you can't even tell what it is, and it's not until you take a step back and look at the big picture that you can say, oh, well, that's just a dandelion, or that's a rose, or a leaf. So let's go pick some items and we'll take a look at them. Okay, I found my first plant. It's very pretty. It's a flower of some type. Unfortunately, I'm very ignorant when it comes to flowers, so I'm going to have to ask my wife what this is. But I'm going to pick this one off carefully. There we go. That'll be one of the items we can go examine. Okay, let's go find something else. I found another one that's very pretty. We'll just call this pretty flower number 2. How's that for a technical name? So I'll just pull one off of here that we can take inside to look at. We'll do this one. All right, let's keep searching. I see some dandelions out there. Let's go pick some of them. And you know what? I just remembered, Graham, you said we're not going out into the wet grass, are we? Okay, I guess we are. All right, let's see. Here's a dandelion. This is one that has not sprouted, but did you get that up here? And that one here. Ooh, look at all these. These are perfect. Okay. Now I've got these two. I've got these two, and let's take them in now. And I'll pick a couple more items, but let's go in and take a look and see what they look like up close. All right, I'm back inside. I've got some plants for us to look at. And it's going to be interesting to see the difference between what they look like when you see them from farther away compared to what they look like when we really zoom in close and take a look. So I'll get this set up and I'm just going to let it play through. You'll see the plants as I picked them outside, and then you'll see the close-up views of them as well so you can see what that is like. Well, there you go. Now you can see what I was talking about when I was saying how different they were when you looked at them closely compared to far away. Pretty interesting and beautiful too to see how amazing God's creation is. All right, kids, we'll talk to you later. Goodbye.
So if you're looking at something up really close, sometimes it's very hard to tell what the actual thing is. And you know, our lives are like that too. Sometimes when we're in the middle of a situation, we don't understand why it's happening, and we can't see the big picture because we're so up close in the situation. And we don't understand why it's happening, what's going on, what's the point and the purpose. And I'm sure that's how Jesus' disciples felt when they saw him being crucified. They were thinking, this is the Son of God. How can he die? He was supposed to be our king. So how can he lead us and save us from this Roman oppression if he's dead? And they were so caught up in the emotion and fear of the moment that they didn't understand that God's plan was bigger and better. And that God's plan was that for a whole big, giant, multiracial family with not just Jews, but Jews and Gentiles and every tongue and tribe and nation included in that. And so later on, they did realize that that was God's plan. But in the moment, they were overwhelmed. And they only saw the small part that they were involved in right there. And they didn't see God's big picture and his big plan. So Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 12, he writes, "For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known." So that first part, now we see in a mirror dimly. So the mirrors that they used in Paul's day were a little different than the mirrors that we have now. It was just a polished piece of metal that they would look into, and you could see your reflection, but not very well. Like you could see your reflection, but it wasn't the same as being face to face with somebody. And we know how that is because we've been doing FaceTime and Zoom calls and all those kinds of things. And that's good. Like there was nothing like that when I was a kid, but it's still not the same as being face to face, right? We know a little bit about God right now, but someday we're going to meet Jesus face to face. And we're going to understand so much more than we do now. So in the meantime, while we're here on this earth, we take comfort in the things that we do know. So there are a lot of things that happen in the world, bad things like we talked about last week. And our lives are, like if you think about your life as a piece of thread in a tapestry, and that one little piece of thread, you can only kind of see what's happening right around you. You're not able, while you're there, to take a step back and see the whole beautiful big picture. that we are a part of. But God is the weaver, and he knows what he's doing, and he has the big picture in mind. So what we have to do is just trust what we know about God, because we do know that God is good, and we know that he's in control. We know that he loves us, and he is worthy of our trust. So hang on to that. We'll see you next week.